You arrive without a name, just a badge with a number. 6 digits, no rank attached. No history that matters here. The building has no windows at your level. Only reinforced glass above, where people with titles walk in silence. The first thing you notice is the sound. A constant hum. Ventilation systems pushing recycled air at exactly 19 degrees Celsius. Fluorescent lights buzzing faintly overhead. The corridors are too clean. The floors reflect your shoes, but not your face. You are led down 3 security doors. Each one opens with a delay of exactly 2.3 seconds. Enough time to remind you that nothing here moves quickly unless someone higher decides it should. You don't speak. You're not expected to. A man in a gray suit hands you a file. No introduction, no handshake. Observation phase. 48 hours. That's all. Inside the room, the detainee sits already, metal chair. Fixed to the ground. Wrists free, but the door is sealed. Cameras embedded in corners you can't quite locate unless you know where to look. He looks at you once. Then he smiles. Not nervous, not defiant, just aware. You sit. Opposite him. 2 meters apart. The table between you is bolted down, cold steel. You wait, because that's the first rule. You do not begin. You allow time to create pressure. Minutes stretch, then hours. He hums to himself at one point. Low, almost inaudible. You write nothing. You say nothing. You learn to notice everything. Breathing patterns, eye movement, posture shifts measured in millimeters. At hour 17, he laughs, not loud. Just enough, you don't react. But something inside you tightens. He knows something you don't. Training begins after that. Not in classrooms. Not really. It's procedural immersion. They show you recordings, hundreds, categorized by outcome, not method. Successful extraction, 63%. Partial intelligence, 21%. Non-compliant, 16%. You are told your job is to improve the first number without increasing the third. You are trained on boundaries. No physical harm. No explicit threats. No violations that can be documented or traced. But pressure is permitted. Sleep cycles adjusted. Lighting manipulated. Silence extended beyond comfort. Questions repeated with slight variation, 200 times if necessary. You learn phrasing. Not tell me. Instead, help me understand. Not, why did you do it? Instead, walk me through your thinking. Language becomes your only tool, and your only weapon. They call it controlled erosion. You call it something else, but you don't say it out loud. Year 1 ends without ceremony. Your number changes. 1 digit added at the front. You're no longer observing, you're assigned. Case files arrive digitally now. Encrypted. Timed access windows. You get your first real detainee. 32 years old. Engineer. No prior record. You follow protocol. 8 hours of silence. Then controlled engagement. You notice how quickly people try to fill silence. It becomes predictable. Patterns emerge. Weaknesses surface in the pauses between sentences. You log everything. Day 3, increased agitation. Day 5, contradiction in timeline. Day 6, emotional spike when discussing family. You press there, not directly. You circle it, slowly. By day 9, he talks. Not everything, but enough. You submit your report. It comes back with one comment, efficient, continue. No praise, no acknowledgement, just continuation. By year 3, you stop checking the time. Shifts blur. 12 hours becomes normal. 18, not uncommon. The rooms don't change. The temperature stays constant. The lighting never softens. You start to understand the system. There are no heroes here, only metrics. Information extracted. Time taken. Compliance achieved. You learn creative compliance. The rules remain intact on paper, but interpretation becomes flexible. You can't threaten, but you can imply consequences. You can't lie outright, but you can omit context. You can't break them, but you can let them break themselves. The senior officer once tells you the line isn't where you think it is. It moves. Your job is to move with it. You don't ask questions, because questions are logged. By year 5, your life outside the building becomes thinner. Conversations feel inefficient. People repeat themselves too much. They reveal things without realizing it. You notice micro-expressions at dinner tables. You analyze pauses in casual speech. You stop correcting yourself. Because this is how you think now. Relationships shift. You don't talk about work. Not because it's classified. Because it doesn't translate. How do you explain that silence can be louder than words? That waiting is sometimes more effective than force? that you've learned to watch people unravel in real time, you start avoiding certain topics, eventually certain people. Isolation isn't assigned. It accumulates. Then comes the crisis. It arrives without warning, but with numbers. 72 hours. That's the window. A potential event. Unverified. High probability. High consequence. The detainee's different. Older. Calm. Trained, you suspect. He doesn't fill silence. He controls it. Day 1 passes. No progress. Day 2. Minimal response. The file updates. Time sensitivity increased. Escalate within parameters. You review protocols. You adjust lighting cycles. Reduce sleep intervals. Introduce controlled unpredictability. Still nothing. He watches you the same way you watch him. Measured. Patient. At hour 58, you feel it. Not pressure from him. From above. Unspoken. But present. You push harder. Not breaking rules, but bending them close enough that the distinction fades. You repeat questions faster. Shorten pauses. Introduce inconsistencies in your own behavior to disrupt his expectations. At hour 63, he speaks. Not clearly. Not fully. But enough to act on. You submit the intelligence. Immediate response teams mobilize. You are removed from the room. No confirmation. No closure. Just extraction of your role from the process. Afterward, there's no debrief. Only a note added to your record. High-yield outcome under constrained conditions. You should feel something. Relief. Validation. Doubt. But what you feel is unclear. Because one thought lingers. What if he spoke because of you? Or despite you? What if the truth wasn't extracted, but constructed? You replay the sessions. Every pause. Every question. Every shift in tone. You realize something unsettling. You weren't just observing him. You were shaping him. And maybe the outcome was never about truth. Only usefulness. Years pass. You rise again. Not in title. In access. You train others now. You repeat the same instructions. Stay within the rules, pressure, not force. Observe everything. You hear your own voice. It sounds procedural. Detached. Accurate. You watch new recruits sit in those same cold rooms. You recognize the moment when they first realize what the job actually is. It's always the same, a slight hesitation, a longer pause, then adjustment. Eventually, your number stops changing, not because you've reached the top, because you've reached the limit. There's nowhere else to go without becoming something else entirely. You're given an option. Retirement, no ceremony, no recognition, just clearance revoked. Access terminated. You walk out through the same doors. Each one still takes 2.3 seconds to open. Outside, the air feels unfiltered, warmer, uncontrolled. You notice how loud the world is. People talk too freely, too carelessly. You catch yourself analyzing them. Then you stop, or try to. Weeks pass, then months. System continues. You know it does. Because systems like that don't depend on individuals. They depend on structure, on process, on replacement. Somewhere someone sits in that same room, same temperature, same lighting, same silence. A new number across from a new detainee, watching, waiting, learning where the line is and how to move it. You realize then you were never the center of it, just a part, a function. And now you've been removed. The hum continues without you.